Today I'm back with another case study. I have a lot of different case studies. So if you have $1 million or $500,000 or $5 million or $10 million, I have different case studies because I talk to a lot of different people. So this I want to show you because a lot of you have been asking for, hey, can you make a video specifically for those that aren't quite 50 or 60 yet? We're in our late 30s, early 40s. We want to retire early one day. We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. So you might find that this is valuable for you, even if you're not this exact age, to see how we think through this. But if you're looking for your specific case study, I have a lot of different videos and I recommend clicking on the one that resonates with you. Now we are going to hop in. The important thing to know here is I'm going to go through a lot. And the fun part is you can have access to the same software that I'm using here, even if you're not a client. We have our Early Retirement Academy, and included in that is access to the same software I'm going to be showing you today. You can see that in the description of this episode if you are looking for this type of approach. My name is Taublieb. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and I'm the vice president here at Root Financial Partners. All right, let's have some fun. So here's a couple, John 39, Rebecca 39, and they have a child who's 14 years old. Now, in terms of their assets and what they're working with, this is their net worth. Now, they've consented to using this video, and I just want to reiterate that if you guys are showing me this, I want you guys to understand the real case here. So they like to have $30,000 in cash. They have $28,000 at the moment. They have $579,000 total. They have a Roth 401k / Roth IRA with $213,000. They have a 401k and an IRA with $21,000, and then a brokerage, which I call my superhero account because this gives you the flexibility if you want to retire early, with $345,000. And then they have a property worth $1.2 with a $215,000 mortgage on it. So they really enjoy paying down the mortgage. So that is something they've been doing a while, and they've had some support from parents. So the point here, they weren't like, hey, we know exactly we want to retire. Most people don't, by the way. When you're in your early 30s or late 30s or early 40s, you're not like, here's the date. You're like, hey, I just want to know, when do I have to stop working? Like I want to make sure I can work. I just want to do it because I want to, not because I have to. So in the software, I like to show the base. Let's just put 65 in there. The truth is, I know it's not going to be that. They don't know exactly how much they want to spend because, by the way, it's $10,000 a month, but wait a second, they're going to want to travel, and they like traveling heavy. They're going to buy new cars. They like nice cars. This is funny that they put in here Vanderbilt, because you can go in here and really go, okay, you can put in the specific college and you can see expenses. So for them, they can put Vanderbilt in there, and you know, for some reason you can see, not for some reason, a specific reason, you can see the all-in costs of Vanderbilt here, and you can go, oh, okay, so room and board and textbooks. And this is, by the way, like, this is updated. Like, you could do this for, you know, any school. Like, so the point here is I want to make sure that if you're looking at different schools and potential costs or planning for college, because a lot of you are doing that, you can go in here and say, okay, great. You can pick a certain college. If you want, you can do a customized amount if you know that. If you want, you can take the average of, like, don't get so into the weeds, which you guys aren't doing, but too many people are like, well, what if my kid goes here? That we don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of nuance. So use something like this that can help you really plan for it in an effective way. Are there going to be scholarships? Are we going to borrow? What are we going to do? How long are they going to go to school? All of this stuff you want to plan for. So now in terms of income and what they're bringing in today, you can see here, John's bringing in $185,000 and Rebecca's bringing in $110,000. They don't have any pensions. There's no rental income. They don't have anything else like that going on. So if you want, of course, you can add all of that stuff in here. If there's inheritance you're planning on and you don't want to do all this other stuff. But Social Security at the beginning, I like to just have it off. Not because it's not going to be there. It probably will. Maybe not to the extent it's there today. But if we have a long time until it's going to be there, we'll show you what if it's on, but plan as if it's off to start. And then in terms of savings, they don't get great matches. It's good, but they're getting essentially 3% on the first 3%. So it's a 100% match. And then Rebecca gets 4%. That they try to add $35,000 a year. They do get gifts from their parents, which is helping them have the account that they have now. But this is what they're doing on their own. So the reason I like to show this is, hey, here's the base case. Here's what we're working on. Okay, now let's have some fun. Like, what are they actually on track for? And the point and the reason I like to show this is it almost looks crazy. So I'm going to reset this because I was playing around with this with them for a little bit, but I'm going to reset this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So here's what, if all of you do this for your own situation, here's what you're going to see. It's almost going to look crazy at the beginning where you're going to be like, okay, here we are today, 39 years old, $100,000 or so, if that keeps growing and growing and growing, and then we retire at 65 and it's now we're worth, 26 million, it almost seems like, well, our brains can't really wrap that, or it doesn't feel real. So we always go, okay, what's that 26 million really going to be worth in today's dollars? Because that's what we actually care about. So 26 million is the equivalent of about $6 million. So you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. If based on what I'm doing right now, if I keep making the same income and same savings and I retire at 65, here's what I'm on track for. Now, the reason I start there is not because we're going to end there. It's okay, great. Here's the base case. From there, we now want to go, okay, well, what if all of a sudden you say, I don't want to work till 65. I'd rather work until 60. And then you refresh that on the plan and you go, okay, what if I want to work till 60? Well, now all of a sudden, are they okay? Yes. Instead of $6 million, there's $2.8 million. They're still okay, but they go, wow, that's good to know. Now, what if they want to spend more than $10,000 a month? What if they want to spend $12,000 a month? They might go, I'd rather spend $12,000 a month to live the dream retirement. Well, we're still okay. There's still $1.2 million. The question is, do they want to leave a certain amount to Lance? What are their retirement goals? So it goes beyond that, but this is the helpful software to start tracking, okay, what do we want to do? Now, travel's a big one. And if they said, you know what, I know a lot of you are watching right now going, listen, I don't want to even work till 60. What about 55? Well, if you want to work till 55 and spend $12,000 a month plus $50,000 on travel and buy new cars, well, they'd run out of money at 70. And so you're like, whoa, that's pretty scary. It's scary, but watch one little tweak here. Instead of $12,000 a month, they spend $8,000, and instead of $50,000 on travel, they spend $35,000. Watch what that tweak does. Now, once again, they're still retiring at 55 here. Well, these little tweaks, which don't seem like big differences, they just kind of cut off their retirement by 10 years. They're not spending 10, they're spending 8. They're not spending 50 on travel every year, but 35. And here they are passing away at 90 with $1.5 million. So the point here is you get to use this tool to go, okay, what do I care about? I'm not showing you this so you guys care what I care about. I'm showing you this so you can see a real couple, and this exact couple does not want to work until 65. Now, they did want to spend a good amount of money. And so we started talking to them about, okay, $10,000 a month. That's what you want to spend in travel. Okay, that's all great. I don't want you to run the risk of running out. So 55 might be a little early, but I said, hey, this all assumes moderate growth. What if you do really well and they're really open to volatility and that they understand investing really well? Well, if we're in more of a growth-oriented portfolio, well, all of a sudden that does change things. Not in a massive way, but it does change things. The reason it doesn't change it in a massive way in what you just saw is because essentially we're withdrawing so much so quickly that by investing well, it doesn't really make up the difference for how much they want to spend. If you were to show the difference, what if they want to spend $6,000 a month and keep it on a moderate portfolio, and you go back here and update the plan? Well, now it shows they're on track for $3.5 million, and we can switch it to a growth portfolio. And instead of having $3.5 million, all of a sudden they just invested well, and now they have $4.6 million. So here they just got another $1 million by just investing well. All of these different tools, this is the power of the software and why I really like using it with clients. You can go in here and add certain goals, vacations, weddings, are we going to move, charitable giving, how much income, what are all the different options. So I want my clients with access to this, not because they end up making a final decision. This is not what I let someone retire on, but I want you to have the confidence to be able to stress test these things, because the truth is, retirement is not linear. You don't just simply retire and go, okay, I'm going to be good. You want to go in here and go, well, wait a second. What if inflation's way higher than I'm planning on? And what if returns are actually lower than I think? And what if Social Security truly is reduced and now there's no Social Security? And what if markets do drop? And what if you live longer than you think? Like, this is what gives real confidence, I find, for people to go, okay, I'm still in a good spot. I know I'm going to be able to retire. I just want to make sure I'm thinking through it correctly. So this retirement tool really is helpful. The important thing, like, what guidance am I giving this couple right now? That's my client. I'm like, hey, do you love what you do? Now, they do love what they do. But if they didn't love what they did, I would say, hey, let's make sure that superhero account is continuing to be funded, and they're doing that. But I would say, that's awesome. Take advantage of the match, but don't do anything more. Right now, they're in a healthy tax bracket. Roth 401k, Roth IRA, great, because they can meet their cash flow goals, so I don't have an issue with it, but I wouldn't want them adding a whole lot more to their 401k or IRA, because these are going to be pre-tax assets. They're going to pay taxes on it later, but it's not because of that. It's because they might want to retire earlier. I think I know them and they love what they do, but they might find that they don't want to work until they're 65 or even 60 or 55. And if they determine at 55 they want to take on another job that's way less stressful, I want to show them that. So I like to go in here and go, let's create another goal. Let's just call it fun consulting income. So fun consulting, maybe they're doing a job that they like. It doesn't bring in a ton, but let's call it 75,000 between both of them. So joint. Well, let's assume that that's going to start, let's just say 50, just for the sake of argument. And let's assume they want to do it for 15 years because they like it. The reason I like to show this as a consideration is because if we even turn that on, what you're going to see is, let's assume they do stop working at 55. Well, just by them now doing consulting income, let's turn them off at 50. So at 50, they're both, so not 65, but 50. They're spending their $10,000 a month. They're retiring, 15 years earlier than a traditional retirement. They want to spend on travel. They want to buy new cars, but they're going to do something. That $75,000, I want you to see the difference it makes, because right off the bat, you're like, oh my God, like they are not okay. And they're not if they wanted to retire at 50. But what if they go, you know what, based on what we want to do and kind of goals and different conversations, let's assume that between both of them, they bring in 150,000. Well, if they're both bringing in 75 or just 150 total, you're like, okay, it gets us a little further, but still doesn't do it. And you're like, okay, what's the point here? Let's go back and let's make sure this is 75. And you're like, well, what's the point here? Well, they might find that they're going to bring in consulting income, but because they're retiring at 50, they don't need 10,000 a month in travel because they're still going to be doing some consulting. So what if this was 5,000 a month? They're still traveling and doing everything they want to do, but what if they're now spending 5,000 a month instead of 10? Well, right off the bat, now here they are on track for $3.5 million. So the point of why I'm showing you this is, if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s watching going, you know what? Yeah, maybe I could take a job that pays way less. So here I'm showing them bringing in $75,000 as opposed to, remember, making, I believe it's 185 and 110. So now we're talking about the difference of 75,000 versus 300,000. And they're still okay. And it's because the expenses are a big differentiator. Now, if they determine, nope, they want to spend $10,000 a month and retire at 50, I'm the first person to say, hey, they're not in a position to do that. And here's how much longer I want you to work. But these little nuances, which don't seem like big deals, 50 versus 51, look at the difference of one more year. The difference of one more year adds a lot of value. And what I don't want you to do is make the mistake of going, well, one more year, what's the big deal? No, good luck quantifying the impact of your health on 1 year. I want you to know the earliest time you are working because you want to, not because you have to. Most people don't stop. They just want to do what they want to do. So you might even be like me, who's like, hey, I want to keep working a while. I just want to be able to work less and maybe make less. Well, you can show that as well. So you can get really creative in here. So once again, if you want access to all the tools and everything I'm showing you here, you can go ahead and see that in the description of this episode. Hopefully this is helpful. This is like level 1. In the kind of academy I talk about, there's a whole lot more in there, but this can be really helpful if you are looking for a holistic planning strategy because you want to retire early and you want a guide and you want confidence. That's why we exist. So I encourage you to reach out if you're looking for that holistic approach, and hopefully this video was helpful. Please like this and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.